Hallo graad 9's. Ek is in my klas. Ja, die skool het al begin laasweek vir die matrieks. Maar julle is nog by die huis, so daarom maak ek hierdie videoetjie gou vir jou om 'n nuwe ding net te verduidelik. Is eintlik 'n ou ding wat net 'n bietjie anders te gestel word. Okay, so ons gaan begin deur te kyk na iets wat ons noem brondokumente, source documents. Now, obviously, we've talked about documents before, but we haven't talked about source documents before. Okay, now let's first look at the definition. The source document is a document used by business to record the transaction either in the cash receipts journal or in the cash payments journal. Okay, so dit beteken, dit is 'n dokument soos wat ons nog altyd gekry het, checks, kwitansies, kasregisterrol ensovoorts. Maar die verskil is, jy kry eintlik nou van 'n dokument meer as een weergawe, want daar's gewoonlik ook 'n afskrif van daai dokument. En die reël is, ons gee gewoonlik vir die kliënte die oorspronklike een. Okay? Byvoorbeeld, kom ons kyk in die KOJ. As iemand vir jou geld gee, gee ons vir hom 'n kwitansie. Nou, ons gee vir die persoon die oorspronklike kwitansie. Maar die besigheid hou mos 'n afskrif van die kwitansieboek. So die brondokument, as ons in die KOJ wil aanteken, kan jy nie net sê kwitansie nie. Jy moet sê dis actually duplikaat kwitansie. Want die oorspronklike kwitansie het die persoon gekry wat die geld vir jou gegee het, maar jy die besigheid hou 'n duplikaat kwitansie oor. Okay, so this is called a receipt duplicate. And it won't be wrong if you write duplicate receipt, it's basically the same thing. Okay. Kasregisterrol, as die geld ons in die til ingegaan het, dan sal ons aan die einde van die dag sal ons 'n uitdruk kry van al die geld, 'n totaal, en dit sal op die kasregisterrol staan, 'n cash register roll. Dan is daar ook 'n moontlikheid van as jy geld ontvang, dat jy dit sal sien op die bankstaat. Byvoorbeeld as iemand 'n kliënt betaal vir jou, maar hy betaal dit nie by jou winkel nie. Hy betaal dit sommer direk in jou bankrekening in. Dan sal jy dit later gewoonlik op die bankstaat kan sien. So dit kan ook 'n brondokument wees. Okay. What about the cash payments journal? Okay, now as you've noticed, most of the payments made in our exercises, if the business pays, it's normally per check. But you must remember that if you write out the check, you tear out the check and you hand the check over to the client. So actually, when the checkbook goes to the bookkeeper, the check is not in the checkbook anymore. What is left is called the check counterfoil. In Afrikaans die check teenblad. En dan sal die boekhouer sal dan die inligting kry op die check teenblad. Dan kan daar ook in die KWJ 'n bankstaat wees waarop jy inligting sien. 'n Voorbeeld daarvan kan wees die bankkoste, the bank charges wat die bank hef, kan mos nou op die bankstaat gesien word en dan moet jy dit in die KWJ aanteken. Okay. So this is the first little bit of new stuff for today. Okay, so now we're going to move on to something else. Okay, now this section is about transactions and what happens if there's a transaction. Okay, now basically we're going to debit and credit an account. Two different accounts will be involved. One will be debited and one will be credited. Okay, so the rule says basically for grade 8, all transactions will be entered into two accounts. And of those two accounts, one account will be entered on the debit side and the other account will be entered on the credit side. Okay. Right, nou wat beteken dit? Kom ons vat 'n voorbeeld. Sê nou die transaksie sê die eienaar gee R50,000 vir die onderneming. En ons reik natuurlik dan nou vir die eienaar 'n kwitansie uit, dis sy bewys dat hy ons R50,000 gegee. Okay. Nou vra ek vir jou, watter twee rekeninge sal ons nou gebruik? En jy moet vir my kan sê, aan watter kant elkeen van die rekeninge staan. Ok, nou kom ek wys vir jou hoe maklik is dit. Stap 1, vra altyd vir jouself, as jy kyk na hierdie transaksie, vra eers vir jouself of die onderneming se bankrekening meer of minder moet word. Ok, nou as die eienaar vir die besigheid R50.000 gee, dan word die besigheid se bankrekening meer. Ok, tweede stap. Aan watter kant vermeerder 'n bank? Ons het nou net uitgewerk die bank moet vermeerder. Nou die vraag is, aan watter kant word die bank meer? Okay, so by now you should know bank is part of the AD accounts. In Afrikaans noem ons die bourekeninge. And AD accounts always increase on the debit side. So that means bank will increase on the debit side. Okay. Step 3. Which other account, apart from bank, is involved in this transaction? Okay, now remember we said the owner gave us 50,000 Rand. What do you call money that the owner gives you? We call it capital. Okay, so the answer of step 3 is capital. Last step, put the other account, which is now capital, on the opposite side than bank. Now if we put bank on the debit side, because bank increased, that means capital needs to be on the credit side. So the two accounts is bank on the debit side, capital on the credit side. So jy begin altyd deur vir jouself te vra, moet bank meer of minder raak? As bank meer raak, moet hy aan die debietkant staan. As bank minder raak, moet hy aan die kredietkant staan. Dan moet jy net kyk, wat is die ander rekening betrokke by daai transaksie? En dan sit jy daai ander rekening aan die teenoorgestelde kant as wat bank is. Ok, so nou het ek maar net hieronder vir jou gewys, daar is die twee rekeninge gewees, bank word meer, so hy moet aan die debietkant staan, dit beteken kapitaal moet aan die kredietkant staan. So the rule always will remain the same in grade 8, each transaction will involve two accounts, one of the accounts will be debited and the other one then will be credited. And I can also tell you 99% of the time in grade 8, bank will be one of the two accounts involved in each transaction. Okay, so that's why it's very important to remember bank increase on the debit and decreases on the credit side. Okay, now if we want to fill this, if this was a question like in exercise 41 and 42, you will see there's a answer page where you've got to put it in writing. So basically, this specific transaction, because we issued a receipt to the owner, the source document will be the receipt duplicate, die duplicaat kwitansie. Dan moet jy ook sê, in jou algemene grootboek, onthou hierdie rekeninge kom ons in die algemene grootboek voor, it's called the general ledger. So in the general ledger, what account will be debited and which account will be credited. Now we worked out bank will be debited and capital credited. Okay, so that is the next step. So step 1 we looked at source documents. Step 2 we looked at account debited and credited. Now this will bring us to something called the accounting equation, die rekenkundige vergelyking. Okay, nou kom ons kyk hierbo. Die rekenkundige vergelyking is soos enige wiskundige vergelyking. Onthou in wiskunde, vergelyking het twee kante en die twee kante moet gelyk wees aan mekaar. Nou die vergelyking, die rekenkundige vergelyking sê, bates moet gelykaan wees aan eienaarsbelang plus laste. Okay, somme in kort, B is gelyk aan E plus, B vir bates, E vir eienaarsbelang, L vir laste. Okay, in English, this is called assets equals owner's equity plus liabilities. A for assets, O for owner's equity, L for liabilities. Okay, so dit is hoe die rekenkundige vergelyking werk of lyk. Ons gaan net nou sien hoe ons hom doen en dan moet ons net altyd seker maak die twee kante moet dan gelyk aan mekaar wees, anders het jy 'n fout gemaak. Okay, Nou, as ons kom by bates, onthou, dit kan enige bate wees. Met ander woorde, ek het nou vir jou al die voorbeelde van bates wat ons gewoonlik in graad 8 kry, genoem, bank, wisselgeld, klein kas, gronde, geboue, voertuie, toerusting. As enige een van hulle voorkom, dan moet jy dit in die rekenkundige vergelyking onder bates wys. Okay. Wat kom dan onder eienaarsbelang in die rekenkundige vergelyking? Okay. Kapitaal is die eerste een. En wat gaan kapitaal doen aan die eienaarsbelang? Hy gaan dit vermeerder. Wat gaan onttrekkings doen aan die eienaarsbelang? Hy gaan dit verminder. Wat gaan inkomste doen? Hy gaan dit vermeerder. En wat gaan uitgawes doen aan die eienaarsbelang? Hy gaan dit verminder. Okay, but for just a while, let's think about the owner's equity. What does the owner's equity mean actually? Well, the owner's equity basically means what does the business, between brackets, owe the owner? Okay, so that's why I say, for instance, if the owner gives us capital, okay, he's giving us the capital, but in fact, he wants the capital back one day. He wants the business to be successful. So every time he gives more money, his equity will be increasing. His owner's equity will increase. But drawings, when he takes money out of the business, that's going to decrease his owner's equity. Okay? Income. To whom does the income of the business belong? It belongs actually to the boss of the business, the owner. So income will also increase the owner's equity. Expenses. Remember, what does expenses do? It's decreasing the profit. And at the end of the day, the profit belongs to the owner. That's why we say all expenses will decrease the owner's equity. Okay. Then what about liabilities, lasten? Well, first of all, I want to remind you or tell you that in grade 8, we work very seldomly with liabilities. Okay, but just for interest's sake, let's tell you all the different kinds of liabilities. Okay, not all of them, but most of them are bank overdraft. What does that mean? Oortrokke bank. Dis wanneer jy actually geld vir die bank skuld, want jy het meer uitgehaal as wat jy gehad het. Okay, so bank is mos gewoonlik 'n bate, maar as hy oortrokke is, dan gaan hy na laste toe. Okay, creditors, krediteure. Creditors is when I buy something on account. So I buy it, I don't pay it immediately, I'm going to pay it later, so I owe money. That is creditors. And then loans, I think all of you should know what a loan means. If I go and borrow some money from the bank, I owe the bank money, that's a liability. Okay, maar ons gaan nie regtig werk met laste in graad 8. Okay, nou kom ons probeer kyk na al die verskillende voorbeelde en hoe dit sal lyk as ons dit in die rekenkundige vergelyking actually moet gaan aanteken. Okay, daar's net 5 voorbeelde wat eintlik kan plaasvind. Okay, eerste een het te doen met kapitaal. Okay, dis die enetjie wat ons net ook as voorbeeld gebruik het. Die eienaar gee 50.000 vir die onderneming en ons reik van 'n kwitansie uit. Okay, so ons vra weer, wat is die brondokument? Ons het hom 'n kwitansie gegee, maar ons moet sê duplikaat kwitansie. Okay, then we need to know the two accounts, debited and credited. If the owner gives us money, the bank increased, so bank is on the debit side. What do we call money that the owner gives us? Capital. The rule says the other account must be on the opposite side, so capital will be on the credit side. Okay, but now this little section here, assets equals owner's equity plus liabilities. This is the section called the owner's or the accounting equation. Hierdie is die rekvergelyking, hierdie bates is gelyk aan eienaarsbelang plus laste. So hoe gaan ons hom nou in? Kom ons kyk 'n bietjie. Okay. Bank en kapitaal. Albei van hulle gaan 'n effek hê op die rekvergelyking. Wat is bank? Bank is 'n bate. So onder bates, wat het met bank gebeur? Hy het meer geraak. So ons sê net invloed onder bates plus 50.000, my bank het vermeerder. Okay. Wat is kapitaal? Kapitaal is nie 'n bate nie. ons het gesê kapitaal vermeerder die eienaarsbelang. So onder eienaarsbelang plus 50.000 en die rede is my kapitaal vermeerder. Nie een van hierdie twee rekeninge is 'n las nie. So ek sit 0 by laaste. Nou as ek wil sien of my rekvergelyking reg is, dan moet ek kyk bates moet gelyk aan eienaarsbelang plus laste wees. Wat het ons in die batekant? Plus 50.000. Wat het ons hierdie kant? Nou plus 50.000 plus 0 bly plus 50.000. So hierdie twee kante is gelyk aan mekaar, so ons weet ons vergelyking is 100% korrek. Okay. So dit is die eerste voorbeeld van 'n transaksie wat jy baie sal kry. En by oefening 41 en 42 gaan daar ook so een wees. Die verskil is net in die handboek oefening vra hulle nie vir jou om die rede ook te noem nie. So jy gaan net by bates sê plus 50.000 en by eienaarsbelang gaan jy ook net sê onder dit plus 50.000. Daar is nie 'n kolommetjie wat jy dan 'n rede hoef by te sit nie. So is eintlik makliker. Okay. Right, kom ons kyk na voorbeeld 2. Onthou daar's net 5 moontlikhede. Voorbeeld 2 gaan oor wat gebeur as die eienaar geld onttrek. Die eienaar trek 8.000 vir eie gebruik deur 'n kontantsjek van die onderneming te gebruik. Okay? So this is obviously drawings. Okay, and the owner wrote out a business check. So the source document will be a check counterfoil, check teenblad. Wat het nou met bank gebeur? Wel, daar het geld uit ons bank uitgegaan, so bank word minder, so bank moet staan aan watter kant? Aan die kredietkant. Wat is die ander rekening betrokke? Onttrekkings, drawings. So if bank is on the credit side, that means drawings should be on the debit side. Okay, now we've got to show the influence of both of these accounts on this accounting equation. Once again, it's always easiest start off with bank. Okay, now bank is the asset account. What happened to bank this time? This time my bank decreased. So underneath assets, minus 8,000 bank decrease. Okay, what about owner's equity? Drawings will be shown underneath owner's equity. Capital, in the previous one, we said capital increased the owner's equity. But drawings always decreases the owner's equity. So minus 8,000, drawings increase. So it sounds a bit weird because the drawings increase, but look at the effect. The effect is drawings will always decrease the owner's equity. Right. So that's the second one. Okay, let's look at the third example. Okay, this is when we buy any or purchase any asset. Okay, now in our example, we're going to buy a vehicle for 250,000 rand. But remember, it could be any asset that you purchase. So it could be equipment, it could be land and buildings. Okay, anyway, so it's a check counterfoil because we bought it with a check. Obviously, bank is decreasing on the credit side, and the other account involved is vehicles. Okay, but now if you look at these two accounts, both of them are examples of assets. So both of them will be shown underneath assets in the accounting equation. So you'll see there's nothing underneath owner's equity, and there's nothing underneath liabilities. Okay, what happens to bank? Bank is the assets that's going to decrease. So minus 250 rand, 250,000 rand bank decrease. In voertuie is weer die ook 'n bate, maar hy het meer geraak. So plus 250,000 voertuie vermeerder. Okay, nou kom ons kyk of die vergelyking uitwerk. Hierdie kant is absoluut niks. Aan die batekant gaan hierdie twee mekaar uitkanselleer, plus en 'n minus 250,000. So die twee kante is gelyk, so jy weet jou vergelyking werk mooi uit. Okay. Dan die vierde voorbeeld is wanneer ons geld spandeer op 'n uitgawe. Okay, now it could be any expense. In this case, the business buys stationery, which is the expense, 1,000 rand, and we pay per check. Now, remember, there's lots of different expenses. It could have been payment of water and electricity, it could have been repairs, it could have been insurance that we paid, it could be wages that we paid, salaries, etc. Any expense works the same. Okay, so we paid with a check. So once again, the source document is the check counterpart. Okay, wat gebeur met bank? Hy word minder aan die kredietkant. Wat het ons gekoop? Skryfboetes wat aan die debietkant moet staan. Okay, bank is die bate. Onder bates, bank het minder geraak, minus R1000, bank verminder. Okay, maar wat is die skryfboetes? Well, I said it's an expense. Okay, now what does expenses do to the owner's equity? It does the same thing that drawings did to owner's equity. In other words, it decreases the owner's equity. Okay, so it's also minus R1000. Stationery expense increase. Once again, it looks weird, eh? The stationery increased, but what is the effect? It decreases the owner's equity. So every time that you spend money on an expense, your owner's equity will decrease. Is the two sides equal to each other? Yes. And obviously nothing happens to liabilities. As I said, we really don't do liabilities in grade 8. Okay. Then the last possible one for grade 8 is when you receive income. Okay. Now in our case, we're going to do services rendered, okay, which is called current income, né? Lopende dienste gelewer, kom ons in lopende inkomste, maar dink gou aan enige ander inkomste. Dit kan huurinkomste wees, dit kan kommissie inkomste wees, dit kan rente op lopende bankrekening wees, any possible income. Okay, in this case, it was service fees because we provided the service and it was 14,000. Okay, so we issued a receipt, so it's a duplicate receipt. If it said that the money was in the cash register, it would have been the cash register roll. But we're still working with the receipt here, duplicate receipt or receipt duplicate. Okay, what happened to bank? Bank increased on the debit side. Nee? Dienste gelewer, wat is die rekening wat ons gebruik? Dink in die KOE, daar's 'n rekening met die naam van lopende inkomste, current income. So if bank increased on the debit side, that means current income should be on the credit side. Okay, so that's the two accounts that I'm going to use. Okay, so what happened to bank? Underneath assets, my bank increased. Okay, now what about current income? It's obviously not an asset. The name says it's an income. Now, income always increase the owner's equity. Remember, if you think about owner's equity, capital increases owner's equity. Drawings decreases owner's equity. Expenses decreases owner's equity. Income increases owner's equity. Now this is an income, so it's going to increase my owner's equity with 14,000. And now, if you look at the equation, the asset side is equal to the owner's equity plus liabilities because nothing happens underneath liabilities. Okay, so this is basically what you're also going to have to do in exercise 41 and 42. Just remember, if underneath the accounting equation part there, you will not be asked to show the reason. Okay, so you just show the influence. So it's going to, for instance, in this case, it would have been plus 14,000 on the assets and plus 14,000 underneath owner's equity, and then you don't need to show the reason. Right, I hope this makes sense, and I hope you enjoy these two exercises.